Well, 35 years of raising worms, and I found some in my front yard that I can't identify. So it is cold. There was a throw rug I had on my front steps that blew into the yard back like before snow, and it got stuck to the yard, and today the ground was thawed enough for me to peel it off, and beneath it were a whole bunch of active worms. So these are not jumping worms. The clitellum is not in the right place, nor is it the right color, and if you notice the band, yeah, it's quite far back. They are not Canadian night crawlers because there is no scoop shovel at one end. There is some shading. Yes, if they look almost black, it's because they are. There is some shading. Oh, see there? Right there. There's some shading when they stretch out, but not clearly defined between the segments. Now I have the jumpers here, but this is not them, nor were these in a location where the jumpers would normally be. Now there's a few of them here. Let me try to get them all in one place. Okay, so yeah, now this one here, you can see the clitellum is, well, no, it's not. It's the color of what a jumping worm would be, but if you turn over the bottom, oh, do not lose focus on me now. The bottom has the mating ports, which is not typical, and it's not an indicator of the jumping worms. And you see you have the clitellum right there, and you have another very light area right near the front. And that is true of all of these. Now, this one, again, you can see the clitellum is there. There's a light spot up there. Now, this one could have almost looked like a Canadian, but I don't know if my camera, my phone is picking it up, but they clearly have an iridescent sheen in certain lights, which is a characteristic of the jumping worms. However, everything else is not characteristic of the jumping worms. Not the color, not the position of the clitellum, not the shape of the head or tail, and not the banding, the colors between the segments. Again, here's another one. This one's not looking so good. Now this one has a bit of a scoop tail. This could be a Canadian nightcrawler, which would explain why it was underneath a frozen, I have them on my kitchen counter. Yes, I am that kind of person, but I don't care because I have Lysol, and not that worms need Lysol. Okay, so this one here, here's a younger one. You know, I have Canadian nightcrawlers, but these do not look like it because simply, you see the band here? Sorry, I'm jumping all over. The band is raised, and it is dark. If you've had the jumping worms, you know the band is, it's raised, but it's raised equally all around the body. It's not flat on one side and raised on the other. It's like swollen all the way around, regardless of what stage or age they're at. And these ones here are much, much darker. And you see they have that light spot. They have the clitellum, and then some color. Thank you for cooperating. And then a light spot toward their head. And again, they don't have the scoop tail. I mean, this one here has an elongated tail, but I don't know. But I almost got to show you some of that iridescent sheen. That there, you see? You could see there would be what is considered the vents, and then over this side is the clitellum, and the tail is not shovel-like. Now these were not in the ground. They were immediately on the surface. I think this is a different kind of worm because this one doesn't even have a clitellum. This was under there, but I don't know what that one is. Now see this side of this one, almost there for a minute. Looked like a scoop, but these do not look like the Canadian night crawlers I have, nor were they in, they weren't at the depth of what Canadian night crawlers inhabit in my location, and they don't have any of the characteristics of the Canadians that I have seen here for the past, let me get this leaf off this guy, hold on. Tell you what, they're durable. For the past 25 years that I've been living in this house. Again, there's the clitellum halfway back, roll over buddy, and then up closer near the head on the bottom is a light spot. And no, this is definitely not a Canadian. You can almost see, oh, there you go. See that luminescence, iridescent sheen there that I just got my crappy phone to show for a minute? There you go. The holographic sort of effect. That's very much viewable when not on camera. My phone just sucks, so sorry. But yeah, and that's not a feature of a Canadian nightcrawler, but these are absolutely not jumping worms. The clitellum is flat on the bottom. There's a light spot near the head, and the body color is completely wrong. They're much, much, much too dark. I have thousands of them in my yard in the summer. So if anybody can help me out, look how far back the band is. It's almost halfway through their body. I don't know. I really don't know. I know the lighting in my house is crappy, so I can't do much better. But they're not going too crazy. I think what I'm going to do is put them in a little container by themselves in case they are some type of invasive worm, like maybe the jumping worms crossbred with the Canadian nightcrawlers. And yes, it is possible. People say worms don't breed. The European nightcrawler is a direct first cousin of the red wiggler. And you can go back and look at the lineage of the family and see how that all happened. But worms have evolved from one to another by crossbreeding. I don't know that every breed crossbreeds, but it has happened. And I'm sure it will happen again. Not saying these are a mutation, but in 35 years of raising worms, I've not seen these. And out of the 6 types, actually 7 types of composting worms I keep, these aren't one of them. And these were not below the ground. They were surface under a frozen rug. I mean, the ground is frozen, but these guys aren't, which also wouldn't be true of the jumping worms. When the jumping worms get cold, they die. They don't do well in the cold. They leave a ton of cocoons to hatch the next year, but that wouldn't even be happening yet in my area. So, oh, there, see that? This one here, the clitellum on it, not at all a jumping worm, and that is also not Canadian nightcrawler. So yeah, I'm guessing these worms want to be in the cold, since they were at surface level feeding on some grass while a rug was still frozen to the ground. So I don't know. I think I'll put them in a container and put them outside, but I don't want to put them in any of like my urban worm bag in case it is something invasive, or maybe it's just something that I haven't seen yet, which means it's not something that is native to my area. So anybody can give me a definitive description of these guys. They are not Canadian nightcrawlers. They are not the jumping worms. They're not red wigglers, and whatever they are, the band is way further back on their body than any other worm type I've had exposure to. And beneath, you can see the clitellum is flat on the bottom, raised on the top, and all of them have a light colored, looks like about 1, 2, 3, about 7 or 8 light colored segments on the underside, on the head end. That's the underside there. And they have the holographic transdescent, I'm making up words, whatever it's called, the holographic effect. My phone isn't doing a great job at picking that up, but you did see it. It's a thing. So, all right, well, I'm going to put them in a yogurt cup and put them outside. I'm hoping somebody can tell me what these are. They're just so dark. And yeah, the color you're seeing on this, my phone is picking the color up right on. And look at the band on that one. It's almost got, let me see if I can force my hand to stay still for a minute, something that it doesn't do. It's almost got, I've got the phone really zoomed in right now. It's almost got like, I don't know, ripples or striation marks. I don't know what to call it. But it's enlarged vertically and horizontally on the top. And if I could find my way to it with it being so zoomed in. Wrong worm. Sorry, messed that all up. Well, that was an opportunity gone. Right, there it is. There it is. Here, you know what? I'm just going to flip them all over the damn place. I got to clean the counter anyway. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting, whatever they are. So whatever they are, they're new to my area. That I can tell you. I've worked every inch of this yard for the past 27 years, and I've never seen these. And this, I think, is just a, where is it? Where'd you go? This, I don't know. It's either a young one of those that hasn't taken on the color yet. And the same is true with this one. And they do have wider mouth ends than tail ends, but they don't have a scoop shovel, as one of the Canadians would. Hey, I'm Canadian, and I don't have a scoop shovel on my butt, so I'm jealous. All right, folks. Well, I hope you can help me. I'm going to put them in a yogurt cup. Maybe they won't die before I figure it out. If they're bad, I will kill them. If they're good, I will keep them. And I may have to send this to Yukon, the Agricultural Extension Office, to see if they can figure it out. If nobody here can... Look how that's really crisp. If nobody here can positively ID these guys. And I'm super zoomed in right now. One of the few times my phone is actually cooperating. So they're not actually that big. They are about, well, if I put it in my hand, so they're maybe 1.5 inches long. Yeah, no, that band is in. That's absolutely not a invasive jumping worm, and this is not a Canadian nightcrawler, but it was surface feeding on frozen ground, and it is not a red wiggler. At least it's not E. fetida or E. Andre. I know there are 14 different subspecies under the Icenia classification, so this could be another one, but where did it come from and how did it get here? Only Dr. Seuss would know that. All right, folks, ending the video. I hope someone can help me. I have some worm wrangling and counter cleaning to do. Look at the mess that I have made. It's a lovely mess. Uh-oh, one went under my grocery bag. Interesting, very interesting. A little bonus footage. I went outside to scrape up some of the dirt and the castings where the worms I just showed you were found, so that I made sure what I put them in had their native preferred substrate and food. And I found a few more. They were literally, there's clover growing, and they were in the clover on top of the soil, eating at the surface. So here's a few more, still nice and dirty, so they're still active. The castings that they created, which are out there, are very fine. They're not at all like the jumping worms. If you've ever had the castings of those jumping worms, they look like pebbles, and they're dry, and they're different. They're very different than composting worms. And let's see. See, outside these guys were really flashing their colors. I hope we don't have gangworms here. That's joking. Sorry, don't mean to say anything insensitive. I'm just not familiar with these guys. So I didn't keep digging. I just scraped up a little, like there's a root of a clover, and they're eating the clover. And again, that's not where a jumping worm would be. But what's interesting is the light color and skin color, and then the clitellum, and it's not swollen all the way around. And they do have an iridescent sheen. See, I'm getting a little bit of it right there. But had I had a real camera that took real pictures, you'd be able to see it better. Well, okay, so now, those ones aren't looking good. All right, I got to put them in a container right away.